Hello and thank you for joining the midweek edition of Journalist Hangouts. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. It's about 9 days to the conduct of the 2023 general election. So how ready are you to vote in the elections? Today on the program, Supreme Court extends earlier order against CBN's February 10 deadline to February 22nd as riots and protests break out in Warri, Benin, Ibadan, and Akure over Naira Scarcity. And later on the show, we'll take a look at how the election will be fought and won in Kwara, Oyo, and Enugu states. On the pundit segment of the program, I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Olabisi Deji Folutile. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. With about 9 days to the conduct of the 2023 general election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has warned that the cashless and currency swap policies of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, are constituting a major challenge to the polls. The commission warned that if nothing is done to address the cash crunch caused by the policies, it will be difficult to deploy staff and materials for the election. Jide, before that, we know that conducting an election and even military operation, ordinarily, if you are posting police to location on off-season election or deploy detachment of military, and even INEC for their ad hoc staff and those people they will be deploying on the field that day, that most of them, it's a transaction that is conducted through cash.
Yes, as I've said before, Emefiele is trying to criminalize holding cash in our country. And our country has not reached that point. The National Security Advisor talked about the danger that even this policy constitutes to our war against terror in the Northeast and other parts of northern Nigeria. There are many places where there is no form of broadband presence. There are communities where Boko Haram has destroyed base stations. So there is nothing like you are able to use your phone. Yet we are moving everybody. We are trying to turn everybody to users of digital payment platforms and all that. I mean, it's ridiculous. Where, for example, Jigawa State, only 18% of the women actually have bank accounts. The rest of them, are they not human beings? Do they not deserve to be able to use their money that they had worked hard for? I mean, so this is the thing. I knew the moment the INEC chairman complained to Emefiele, and Emefiele said, look, we are going to address the problem. We are going to bring the money that INEC needs. I knew that for these guys, it's a problem. It's bus drivers that help them to convey material on election day. It's not as if INEC has its own vehicles and all that. You know? Now, we are even confronted with a situation in which, for people who want to buy fuel, they tell you, no, go and bring cash, new notes. People who are desperately looking for new notes, they are trying to force fellow Nigerians to bring out the new notes that are not readily available. Last night when I was going home, I found so many people at a bus stop where normally you find dozens of bike riders. It's because everyone was not sure that these bike riders will take the old notes from them because some were already rejecting it. So how do they then go home? There's no reason to put our election in jeopardy or take actions that would impair or endanger the successful conduct of our election because we wanted to change the color of currencies. Because it's not redesigning. It's actually repainting that has been done. And it's horrible when you look at even the old currency you compare to this one. Quality. The difference in terms of quality is like night and day. Extremely atrociously poor quality of currency. Just hold the 1,000 naira note for some time. Hold it in your hand just like this for some time. And by the time you open, if your palm is a little moisty, check what the currency looks like after all. Absolutely poorly printed and
Substance.
not even pleasing on the eye in any way. And that's what we are holding and boasting about and subjecting people to needless agony. I mean, now that INEC is complaining, we want to see whether the CBN will not try to solve this problem. If they do not solve this problem substantially, then it means that their agenda is to ensure that we do not have elections in our country.
This problem is like self-inflicted. In the 2022 Electoral Act, it was said that the amount INEC is going to spend, money they are going to spend for any election, must have been released a year before, one clear year before the election. Now, let's say they've gotten the approval, but we're talking about physical cash now, and this will definitely hamper them from sorting out their vendors.
I think we have to be very careful not to allow any policy to be a source of extending our electoral process or the general elections. A lot of people have expressed their worry about whether this election is going to hold or not. And that has even prompted the INEC chairman to come out to say that they are ready for this election. But what we are saying now, and from what INEC is saying, I think for Nigerians that are discerning, it's like a warning signal. That's the way I look at it. Because INEC is saying we are ready with every other thing, but this is the only problem we are having. And if we continue to have this problem, then we may not be able to conduct this election because we need this money before we can do this. Because we need the money for logistics, we need the money for administration, for security purposes, and all of that. Now, is it self-inflicting? YES in capital? Yes. So what is happening now is supporting the belief of those who think that the general elections are not meant to hold. You know, some people have that belief that we are working towards having an interim government and all of that.
It's not in our constitution. That
which
will
is
not
not even in our... Yes, but some people are saying... They are saying that... Yeah, and if... What I'm trying to say in essence is that we should not play into the hands of anyone, because if this cash crunch is not addressed, it is as good as saying that, okay, we don't have money, therefore we cannot hold this election. Well, the CBN governor said he will provide money that the INEC needs. But we also know that all this while, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've also been told that Nigerians will have access to new notes and all of that, and people still don't have that access. So we cannot really say what the CBN, we cannot go to town with what is, we can't take, yes, that is what I'm saying. So it's really a serious issue. It's a serious issue, and we need to address it, because there shouldn't be any reason whatsoever for this election that we've all been waiting for not to hold at the end of the day.
Okay. It is still far from over regarding the litigation against the Naira redesign policy of the federal government. The Supreme Court has adjourned the suit filed by some state governments challenging the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The Apex Court adjourned the case till Wednesday, February 22nd for hearing of the consolidated suit by 10 states. Meanwhile, protests have continued across the country, while where residents in Warri, Benin City, Ibadan, and Akure took to the streets to protest Naira shortage. Let's share some viral videos of the protests in Ibadan and Benin with you.
Honestly, things are really bad. Oh, better come to Padà sẹ́yìn. This man should just go back. Petrol on tún dà sílẹ̀.
Àwọn jó petrol lára àwọn ọlọ́kadà tó ń kọjá.
They're gonna kill us the journal. My people want to see what they have for Nigeria. Nigeria, Jaka. Nigeria, Jaka. Now let them get back to this. Ah, Baba, start on. Come here. No worry.
Petrol on tún dà sílẹ̀.
Àwọn jó petrol lára àwọn ọlọ́kadà tó ń kọjá.
Ṣebí bí ìtú fún Adaba fẹ́ máa lọ. Ẹ̀yin ṣáà dúró bẹ́ẹ̀.
Live at Union Bank. Udu Road. No, now that is go Bobo. The mopo that don't vex so. That's the way you hear it. Now since you don't vex. They don't run. Police don't come.
I feel done. I waited to get.
Okay, some people they say we want to
Everybody get one box.
Don't carry picking up. Because she I'm on a common because you get the life of that child.
Happening live at Ring Road, the capital city of Edo State. Boys have gone on rampage over the new Naira Scarcity. Benin has gone on rampage.
And the government are doing nothing. This is the massive that goes on the government.
Officially, Babajide, this policy has plunged the Federal Republic of Nigeria into crisis.
Yes, and the possibility of this expanding is there.
Or escalating.
The same thing that we are saying. If now that we've had it in Ogun State, we've had it in Akure, they are coming nearer to Lagos. The governor of Lagos State must do the needful.
Because if our
he
people
has
come
to
out,
enforce the decision of the Supreme Court. We've seen other governors lock up business premises where they are rejecting the Naira. No individual, Emefiele, 10 of Emefiele do not equate to even a judge of the Supreme Court. They have to respect the judgment of the Supreme Court that says that the Naira, old Naira notes can be used at this time. Because is that frustration that is causing people to take to the street,
the new one, they don't have access
causing
to the old
people
one.
to start attacking
rejected
in banks and all that.
Yes.
He has to do that. Because if tension continues to build up in Lagos and we have riots in Lagos,
We cannot curtail
what
it.
we are seeing in other places will be a child's play.
Yes.
So those banks, Sanwo-Olu has to have a meeting with those the bank MDs and the rest of them.
This
Take those Naira notes from people. That's what the Supreme Court says.
till 20 seconds.
Take the Naira notes from people. People cannot stand the possibility of losing their hand-earned money. It can push some people to suicide. It can push people to violence. So that is the minimum that these business premises can do, at least to help calm things down. No one has the right to reject the Nigerian currency until it is officially no longer legal tender. And as we speak, the old Naira notes remain legal tender. The Supreme Court affirmed that. In fact, Justice Okoro reminded Kanu Agabi, the lawyer of the federal government, that remember the order that we gave. And he cited a case saying that if you come before a court, once you agree to come before a court, you are duty bound to wait until the matter is decided. So the federal government and the CBN have no right under the law to come and say that, no, that deadline has expired, when the Supreme Court was yet to even hear the matter.
Where's the place of this argument? That
Immediately he said that, Kanu Agabi replied that, yes, you are right. And the judge went on to say, tell your client to let the people have money. If they go to the ATM, the plaintiffs will not come and withdraw the case. Make money available to the poor masses. You should know that a hungry man is an angry man. I won't say more than this. This was what Justice Okoro, who is the head of the 7-man panel, said to Kanu Agabi, the lawyer of the federal government and CBN, to remind them that, look, we are all facing this problem. Now the judges know that people are suffering. The judges know that. By saying this, Justice Okoro has said, yes, indirectly, that, look, the suffering of the people has got to us. Tell your clients to make money available to Nigerians so that this crisis can end. Then when Kanu Agabi was quoted as saying, people are trying to blame the federal government and the Attorney General for the poverty in the land, that poverty has been there, trying to give the impression that this is not what caused it. Of course, he's a lawyer. He will try to claim that he does not know that this is the pain that we are solving. But in another breath, I heard him saying, we are trying to solve this problem.
I don't know.
He knows what to do.
Why they're always trying to twist things.
And that's the nature of lawyers.
Vague.
That's the nature of lawyers. Lawyers are trained to tell us that what you are wearing is actually white, not black. Your suit. They are trained according as they are paid. That's how a brilliant essayist and writer described them. That according as they are paid, they are trained to tell us that black is white and white is black. But let's even leave that. The suffering of the Nigerian people has to be addressed, and government must behave responsibly. My own advice to governors, and I trust that the governor of Kaduna State is already good at doing that. Any business premises that wants this pain that Nigerians are suffering to get worse, that refuses to obey the order of the Supreme Court and refuses to take the old Naira notes, they should go and lock up those business premises. And I know that Nasir El-Rufai even has this attitude of demolishing buildings. So I know that at this time, he is supercharged to go and demolish. Whether you are a bank or not, you are under the law. So there is no reason to disobey the Supreme Court.
Some people will say, never again must we have a situation like this, that till they start claiming casualties, till we start seeing our president is always aloof. And these visuals will go viral, it will be all over the place. The normal sit down, look, laid back attitude. The 7 days is past now. People will start killing. Things will start happening. We are saying it now. Still, they think this policy can sail through.
I was just listening to Babajide and the advice that is given to the governor of Lagos State. And I'm like, we are in a very, very confused situation. And things can only get worse if we don't
nip it down.
Nip it. It's already bad. And for me, it goes even beyond what a governor says or decides to do. I think this problem was created by the federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria, right? And the solution can only come through those two arms, through the FG and the CBN. Because let me just give you this scenario. If you ask banks to take old notes, if the governors tell banks to take old notes, do you think they are going to believe they are going to obey the governors? They report to the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Just one person, Mr. President, that's
exactly.
The missing key.
So they report to the Central Bank of Nigeria, and without any official directive from the Central Bank of Nigeria, these banks are not going to do anything. You can see what happened. Even in Lagos, the courts rejected old notes, despite the ruling of the Supreme Court. You see, this kind of confusion in a government that is the ruling party is making everybody to be confused, and it's shameful.
It's shameful, honestly.
It's shameful because we are seeing a ruling party that is at war within itself. So you now subject other,
and the people who are supporting is clearly anti-people policy. They are the people from the rival party.
So you now see that
the
opposition,
the hypocrisy in the
opposition,
in this whole thing.
People have lost,
even the Edo governor and Bayelsa governor have decided to join the FG. To join the FG against the other 10 governors that went to court about this.
Meanwhile, their people are rioting.
So you see that this thing is purely political. And when two elephants are fighting, you now see that the grass becomes the victim, which is what is happening in Nigeria now. Look,
my own biggest concern is that the masses who are suffering.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me, he said, okay, you are thinking that banks won't give politicians money. The bulk of the money in the banks, who owns them?
Politicians.
Is it not politicians? Politicians are the people who can loot at the level of billions.
Yes.
Now they'll keep in the banks. Look at what usually happens when a new government comes in. You see banks will start going after them. If they just won National Assembly elections, banks will descend on them. Oh, we want you to patronize our bank. That is what they do. So it's because they know that these people always have funds. So is it that politician who will now need money? In fact, somebody was telling me that a politician has the capacity to even know how much was supplied the bank.
They do, and
say, okay,
they do know.
One for any okay.
Yeah.
How much are you going to give me? I know that you received also amount of new notes yesterday. How much are you going to give me? They will negotiate, and then the politician.
As a matter of fact, even CBN governor said it yesterday. that politicians are the one collecting the
He
money.
has not supplied enough. He should,
That
he should
is the
provide
problem.
proof.
That
He
is
should
the
provide proof that
problem.
you see, if this country were a country where public officers, you know, respect the people and are accountable to the people, he will tell us how much he has printed. They will be briefing us that on a daily basis, this is how much
and
we are
this is
pushing.
how much we are
Yes,
pushing.
this is how much we are pushing
And
to
even
the
the banks
They
will
are
be
unable
held
to do that.
responsible for the distribution. They should be held responsible for how they have been distributing the money, because obviously this money is not being supplied. The
It's
new
not
notes,
been, yes.
they are not being supplied.
Look at, there was a bank that they accused of receiving 200 and something million. They didn't distribute it. ICPC rushed to the place. See their defense. They said, we have distributed this money. What we had, that place that you went to is a regional headquarters. From where we funnel the monies to other places. That this is our record. See what we have distributed over the
and it's not even
days.
possible
Nigerians
for
will not
one
listen to
bank.
that.
Anyway,
No.
that is their
They will not
problem.
get
But
that
the
facts.
truth is, at the end of the day, what did they do? Let the ICPC file charges against those people now. That is why sometimes all those the anti-corruption bodies, they are unable to make headway. Because you do some of these things just for the cameras to come and
Optics, just-
those guys provided. They even said, okay,
It's
that
not even possible
you can
for a
check with
branch to
CBN.
get that kind of.
You can check with CBN to see how
sum
we've been
of
distributing
money.
this
We
thing.
hear
There's
this
no
kind
way
of
a branch will have no. But of course, we now it's our duty to look for the truth, and this is what happened. At the end of the day, the whole nonsense just fizzled out because it was a storm in a teacup. You know, making a mountain out of a molehill. The reality is that they are not supplying enough. We have, you know what they are even doing? Somebody in the banks told me that it's so bad now that they will call the CBN to say, we don't have enough, nobody will pick their calls.
Wow.
Ideally, Emefiele should be addressing us every day. That gentlemen and women of our country, this is how much we pushed out today. This is what we have printed.
No
the
communication,
totality
nothing.
of what we have printed. Because they are not accountable. They know that the truth is that they do not have enough. Let them prove to us. I challenge them to prove that they have enough and that they have supplied enough.
Are not accountable to
They are not accountable to anybody.
The problem
And the
is
system allows them to get away with not being accountable.
Nigerians have never been at the centerpiece of our policies. And that is what is obvious now. When you want to take a decision, you look at the impact, the implication for the people, on the people. Definitely in this particular case, that was not done. And that has
They
never
just
been
rush
done.
to do it because,
Yes.
you know, when people are driven by emotions, impotent emotion, oh, we are targeting individuals, this is what we want to do. At the end of the day, you are not you will not use, you use your intuition instead of your brain. You will not think deep. Because you are already focused on what you think you
This
want
is
to
what
achieve.
you want to achieve.
You are not looking at, or you are fixated.
implication,
You are not looking at what could happen. And I've said it, okay, they talk about, oh, India did it. Okay, when India did it, what happened? Nigerians should ask questions, what happened? For 2 years, the Indians didn't recover from it. The economy suffered. And it was the poor people that largely suffered in India. Even when they were claiming that, oh, we wanted to address counterfeiting, they found only very few counterfeit notes.
Somebody spoke
And
about
they withdrew money valued in excess of 286 billion.
Somebody spoke about Sweden's cashless policy, that they are the best in the world and everything, but still, they still have enough cash in circulation.
People, yes.
It's
They are
really
still
even
spending
Nigeria.
cash.
Spending cash is not a crime now.
spending
It's not a crime.
There's nothing.
No,
There's no
cashless
society that
policy.
is cashless.
Cashless
Ayo, when they talk about cashless, there's no society that is cashless. They praise South Korea for the progress that they made in terms of the cashless economy. What did they do in South Korea? They created incentives for business owners. So that when you come in, you bring this is what you get. Those ones, in turn, now became champions of the cashless economy, reaching out to their own patrons to say, okay, gentlemen, this is what you do, this is what we'll do for you if you do this, if you do that. You don't legislate it by force.
Implement cashless
That's not how
policy
to do.
overnight. There are a lot of things that go with
The
cashless.
infrastructure involved,
Exactly.
the
So
wherewithal
it's not
involved.
just about you transferring money. For example, what problem have you been noticing? The bank apps, they broke down. Because a lot more people are now going
They
there.
said in January, 108 million transactions.
% increase. It has never happened in January alone, because a lot of people are doing that. Meanwhile, the infrastructures are
To
there.
support it is not there.
It's not there. So it's not just something that you just go in overnight.
No, it has to be properly
It
planned.
has to be. Yeah.
Properly planned.
It's
How many
obvious that
banks do we have? We don't have enough
this
banks.
particular policy is not about the people. Is political.
Yes.
And every day it's
getting
getting
worse.
clearer
It's
and
getting
clearer
worse.
that this
It's
is
getting
merely a
worse.
political.
Nobody knows what will happen
policy.
next. Tomorrow when we wake up, we don't know what will happen
Honestly.
next. Like where they had these riots now. Even I'm sure that the governor of Edo State, who joined them in promoting something that has already failed, he did not know that his own state will be on fire. If you hear what they were singing about him, the derisive songs that they were singing about their governor, if you listen to them, will be ashamed. Now you join them. What have you gained? That, oh, you support this. Something that is bringing misery, so much pain on your people. You support it. By saying that, you are inciting your people.
All right, we'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk on. Thank you for staying with us. Yes, we are counting down to the 2023 general election. On the Pundit's Corner today, where we dissect how the 2023 election will be won and fought. So on our corner today, we are beaming our searchlight on Kwara State in the north central, Jide, Kwara State. What is the voting pattern of the people of this state?
Well, the Kwara politics was dominated for a long time by the PDP, first by the APP, later by the...
In 1999?
APP was the first produced governor, and later PDP, when Saraki became governor, and then today APC successfully kicked the PDP out of power through the Otoge revolution.
In 2015.
Of 2015 and of 2019. And today, we have an APC governor in power. The interesting thing, we'll start with the governorship race. The interesting thing is that 4 out of the 5 major candidates are from Kwara Central, that is Iloni. And in Kwara Central, most of the votes are in Iloni West, where the governor Bukola Saraki are from. And we also have Bolaji Abdullahi, is also from there. Now, interestingly, I was talking about the candidates of those parties, NNPP, APC, SDP, YPP. SDP candidate is the son of a former governor, Lawal. You know, and we have Professor Abdul Karim Oba is also the NNPP candidate after he lost the SDP primaries 2 times. So, in Kwara, the governor has a tough job because the PDP candidate is from Kwara North. Bukola Saraki has played this card before, opting for power shift, which in his view will sideline, will ensure that bulk votes can come from that part of the state that had been longing to produce a governor. He did it when he brought Fatai, because Kwara South had not produced governor, you know.
Dr. Fatai
and yes, and successful. They were successful. He defeated the candidate of his father, and Fatai became governor. Now, in this case, he's gone to Kwara North, which had been clamoring to produce the...
To pick a candidate.
Yes. So they are expecting that there will be bulk votes from there. But the candidate is a no-pay person, and there are 2 local governments, Edu and Patigi, are the local governments of, that the people are no-pay people. But the issue is the governor has done so much work in Kwara North, and the governor expects that he will be able to get a lot of their votes. So the quantum of votes that the PDP is expecting from that part of the state may not come. They will get votes from Patigi and Edu, but from Barutin, Kayama and Moro local government, the vote will be diluted. So to simply pick a candidate from the north will not necessarily guarantee victory. They have to score significant votes from that part of the state and still score good enough votes from Ilorin, from Kwara Central and Kwara South. That's talking about Ofa and the rest of them, Kwara South. So the people contesting against the governor today were people who contested against him for the primaries of the APC back in 2019.
So they were all in one party.
Yes, before. And that particular party was very rancorous. But they've now found themselves in different parties. So what will happen is that in Ilorin South, the governor, because he's doing some work in Ilorin, the governor will be able to win only narrowly. Only narrowly. The governor's best bet is Kwara South, where he has some significant support there. But if you can do very well in Kwara South and get significant votes from Kwara North because of the work that he has done, because he has concentrated so much on Kwara North, their greatest problem is roads, and he's done roads. There is targeting votes from there.
Very silent achiever.
Yes. So now, if he can get significant votes from Kwara North, and definitely is going to win Kwara Central. And that's where the bulk of the votes are.
That's a big vote.
Despite the fact that there are 3 other candidates from Kwara Central, and you expect that they will smash each other's votes and all that. He's going to win Kwara Central. Once he wins Kwara Central, I know that Kwara North will be quite close. But he's going to win Kwara South. So that will give him an advantage. In Kwara, not many people really want, at this stage, the Saraki family to come back to power. They believe that if PDP wins, the Saraki back in power. So that could really help the governor, despite the fact that the governor has not been good at making up with perceived enemies. It's not done that well. And one thing that can also help him is if the APC wins at the national level, the people of Kwara don't like doing opposition politics. So that will help him. Bandwagon effect, yes. That will give him a bounce. In 2019, they came up with Otoge.
Yes.
Then, at that time, the PDP came up with Otunya. So in 2023, the PDP came up with Osuwa, whereas the APC have come up with Marshalo. That's continuous. So in politics,
and Marshalo.
So the governor will win Kwara Central. Kwara South, where there are 7 local governments, the governor will also win. In Kwara North, there are 5 local governments. He will struggle in 2 of those local governments, but should be able to win marginally or lose marginally in the remaining 3. That should give him an edge over others and enable him to win the race. So I'm predicting that Governor Abdurrahman will be re-elected. However tough it is, however close, I'm predicting that
governorship,
he will be re-elected. For the presidency, Kwara South is Asiwaju all the way in Kwara South. He also has support in Kwara North. And then Kwara Central, is a big title holder in Kwara Central. So we expect him to do well there. And the interesting thing is that even those who are divided, those who are in different parties, who left APC to go to different, a lot of them are still even disposed to working with him, So Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has an edge over other presidential candidates in Kwara State, and he is projected to win Kwara State. Election. Yes.
Okay. Let's go to Oyo State, southwest Nigeria.
Oyo is a very interesting scenario. The current governor, At the beginning, he didn't have the support of the mortgages in Ibadan. The mortgages are like the kings of the grassroots. In 2019, when he contested, he didn't get their support. But for the first time in his political life, he has the mortgages backing him. That is very significant. And the governor has been able to connect the 5 zones of the state to one another. You now have projects going on, especially in Okeogun area. I have so many projects going on in Okeogun area. Then each of the 351 wards in the state is building PHCs, that's the primary health centers. That is also of tremendous advantage to the governor in what is supposed to be a tough race. Unfortunately for the APC, there are 3 factions. There is the faction of those who had been in the APC for long and opposed the emergence of Teslim Folani. These people are they are close to Asiwaju, they are Asiwaju supporters, but they don't want to work for Teslim. There is a particular son, I don't want to mention his name, I won't mention his name, he's one of such people. They are traditional APC people, they will remain in the party, they are not leaving, but they will not work for the kind of their party. Then Accord Party, Adebayo Adelabu is the kind of the Accord Party. There are people who left the APC
out
with
of
him
annoyance,
out of anger to join Accord Party. Those ones too have sympathy, they are working for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in that place. And there are also those who...
not forgetting the former governor, Ladoja. Is he still in Accord?
Ladoja, yes, he's less active politically now.
Okay.
But he's giving the governor his support.
Okay.
The governor has Ladoja's support. And right now, it is that division that the APC has. And the fact that Ladoja, Seyi Makinde is not supporting the candidate of his party. He's not openly supporting Atiku. With the governor not openly supporting you, to the point that the PDP didn't set up a PCC for your state.
Yes.
So whom do you pass resources towards? Who is coordinating the campaign in the state? That is a problem. And if you try to go through the normal channel, the formalized channel through the party, it may end up in Seyi Makinde's hands. So they are now forced to try to go through people outside of the formal party structure. And when you do that, there is a problem because it may not reach all of the places that it should reach. Because if you now pass it through Seyi, you think that Seyi may use it to work for the opposition. Where a governor openly refuses to support the candidate of his party. That is...
So let's look at the implication on the presidential election.
That is where we are headed. That gives Asiwaju an edge. I've seen surveys saying that Asiwaju will lose Oyo State. From all of these scenarios, I don't know how it will happen. Because even the leading candidates of the top parties in the race are supporting him. Candidate of Accord Party, the governorship candidate is supporting him. We've seen Makinde himself appearing to support him by not openly supporting his own party. So that leaves Atiku in a quandary. And don't also forget, Asiwaju is a Yoruba man. Oyo is the biggest Yoruba state by landmass. So the people are likely to see him as their son and vote for him. So Asiwaju is projected to take Oyo State.
Presidential election.
And that will be significant because it's one of the biggest states. So talking about Enugu State, there is not so much to talk about in Enugu State. In the governorship election, as well as National Assembly elections, the people are inclined to vote PDP. The PDP has always won elections there. You know, it's a case of, okay, Nnamani's boys. Nnamani left the scene and his boys have retained power, even though one of them eventually abandoned him. That's Sullivan Chime. Yeah. But his boys have always retained power. The people are inclined to vote PDP. It's a PDP state. They're inclined to vote PDP in the governorship election. And National Assembly and State Assembly election. But in the national election, that's the presidential election, it's a massive vote for Peter Obi. That is what I project. Peter Obi is a Labour Party. Yes. the second biggest spare parts market in the southeast is in Enugu State. It's called the coal camp. The day Peter Obi came to campaign, the market was shut. It's unprecedented. The crowd, the acceptance is unprecedented. And Peter Obi is projected to win the presidential election in Enugu State by a comfortable, by a hefty margin. So this is what
regardless of the fact that there's a sitting PDP machinery there.
Yes, despite the fact that the governor of the state is one of the G5 governors. Is projected, the sentiment of the people in Enugu State is to vote for Peter Obi, except things change tomorrow. But for now, if elections were conducted today, the presidential race will be won by Peter Obi of the Labour Party.
Thank you. Biko, we continue with this pundit segment tomorrow, and that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday for Journalist Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.